Let's learn about marking tools. So sometimes you need to put a mark on your fabric in order to either mark a button where a button's supposed to go, where a buttonhole is supposed to go. You might need to mark where your darts need to go, or you might need to mark those little tiny circles that you see on patterns sometimes, which are where two things have to line up. And there are multiple different tools you can use to do it. Now, the thing about marking fabric is you don't just want to be able to make a mark, you also want to be able to remove it. So you should always test whatever tool you're using on your fabric to make triple sure it will come out after washing. Chalk and also wax, as well as sometimes even soap, is a very popular option to use because when you use chalk, it should just be able to come off in the wash afterwards. This is a chalk pencil in which it's like a chalk mechanical pencil, and I can switch out the color of the chalk inside. This is a dressmaker's pencil. It allows you to make the mark, and the other end is used to help sort of scratch it off. This, I believe, is a little bit of wax, or it could be a little bit of soap, and this is very useful for marking dark colored fabrics that might not necessarily show the blue up. And this is also chalk, and this one has a little sharpener right at the top in order for me to sharpen my chalk to a point if I need to. Chalk comes in many shapes and sizes, but it is chalk. One that I do not have on here is a chalk pounce, which is like a little cheesecloth bag full of chalk, and you can go pa 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 pa, and it releases dust, and that is usually used with a stencil or something called pin pricking. And that is where you would have your pattern or your piece of fabric or paper or whatever, and you would use pins to poke holes wherever you wanted the chalk to show through, and then you go on it with a chalk pounce, and the chalk falls through those holes onto your fabric. This is a tracing wheel to be used with carbon paper, transfer paper, graphite paper. It has 1,000,001 different names. Sometimes I just call it transfer paper. But basically how this works is you take your wheel and you roll it over your fabric and your tracing paper underneath, and it should transfer a dotted line or a solid line if you have a solid wheel onto the back. If I have any dark stretchy fabrics, I like to use something called a chalk wheel, because if I try to use a chalk pencil like this, it tugs at the fabric and I can't get an accurate line. This wheel has chalk powder on the inside and it rolls over the fabric so it doesn't pull as much, and it transfers my markings. You can also get fabric markers, which either have wash away ink or air dry ink or heat disappearing ink. I like using these whenever I have to mark a specific dot, because dots don't work very well with chalk. If I try to make a dot with a pencil, it just doesn't work very well, so I prefer the markers. There are definitely other tools out there as well in order to mark your fabric, but those are the most common ones and the ones that I find myself using the most often. Have fun sewing!